In this video, we're going to go over the muscles that move the forearm at the elbow as well as the hand. So you always want to take note. To me, it's easiest if I know if I'm looking at the anterior or posterior side of the brachial region or the antebrachial region or the hand. So always just orient yourself. And this model, his arms are in different orientations. And when I say anterior and posterior, remember, I don't mean just on this model the way it's oriented. Anterior and posterior meaning anatomical position, right? So like this, his arm is actually pronated. So this would be the posterior side of the forearm region, but this is the anterior side of the brachial region. So just keep note of how this model is positioned and what is anatomically anterior and anatomically posterior. So I've already pointed out the deltoid in the last video, so let's start working our way down. This is the anterior side of the brachial region, and this muscle that's most superior that we see first, this is the biceps brachii. Biceps brachii. Now, if we were to be able to remove the biceps brachii, we would see this muscle directly below it, kind of sticks out on the edges, around the edges of the biceps brachii. This is the brachialis. So biceps brachii, brachialis. Okay. Now, if we go to the posterior side of the brachial region, this huge muscle that pretty much is the only one that forms the posterior side of the brachial region, it's labeled number 24 here. This is the triceps brachii. So biceps brachii and brachialis, biceps brachii and brachialis on the anterior side, triceps brachii on the posterior side, okay? And we can see that on the other arm too. So just because I'm showing you these muscles just on the left side, I could ask them on the right side as well. So make sure in class that you look at both sides and be able to identify these muscles on both arms, all right? Now let's work our way down to the arms that would, so those are the muscles that would primarily move the arm at the elbow. Let's talk about one more, the Brachioradialis. So it's labeled number 30 here. Brachioradialis. So think of it, it's a muscle that radiates from the brachial region, so like up here, to the radial side of the forearm. So it's labeled number 30 here. This is the brachioradialis. Okay. Now let's go through the muscles that will move. These are muscles that will be located primarily in the forearm region, and they are going to move the hand. So again, we're looking at, this would be the posterior side of the forearm region, because look, this is the back of the hand. Always think anatomical position. So I just mentioned the brachioradialis. The next muscles I'm going to talk about, because they are on the posterior side of the forearm, those muscles are going to extend the arm at the hand, or sorry, at the wrist rather. So they're going to be responsible for extension of the hand. So these are extensors. So if we're looking at the posterior side of the forearm, these are extensors. So I just mentioned the brachioradialis. Moving away from that, this is going to be, and if you follow it down, it's labeled number 26 here. Follow it down. This is on the thumb side. So this would be the extensor Carpi radialis. That's number 26. Extensor, because it's on the forearm, the posterior side, these are the extensors. Carpi, because it extends down to the carpal region. And then radialis, because it extends down on the thumb side. And remember, the radial bone is on the thumb side. So this is the extensor Carpi radialis. This muscle, label number 27 here, goes straight up and down. And if you follow it, it goes straight to think of it as like going, if you follow the tendons, it expands out to the digits. This would be the extensor digitorum, because its tendons go and innervate all the digits. Extensor digitorum. And then the last one, the last extensor that you need to be able to know is this one, which is on the pinky side. This is the extensor carpi ulnaris, because remember the ulna bone is on the pinky side of the forearm. So again, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis, extensor digitorum, extensor carpi ulnaris. So if I have a sticker on one of these muscles, just look, especially of the forearm region, is it on the anterior or posterior side? If it's on the posterior side, most likely extensor is going to be in the name. Is it straight down the middle and extending out to the digits? Extensor digitorum. Is it on the pinky side? Well, that's extensor carpi ulnaris. Is it on the thumb side? That would be the extensor carpi radialis, because it's on the radial side. All right, I'm going to continue on with the using the left side because it's easier to see. This muscle right here, which looks like the opposite, going the opposite of the brachioradialis. So brachioradialis, this muscle right here is the pronator teres. Pronator teres. Up here, let me go to the right arm. You can see the same thing. This would be the brachioradialis. This is the pronator teres. Now the supinator, which would be located under the brachioradialis. The supinator is a deeper muscle. I'd have to be able to remove the brachioradialis and this extensor carpi radialis muscle. I'd have to be able to remove that for you to be able to see the supinator, but you do need to be able to know what it does. But that's where it would be located. It would be deep to these muscles right here. All right, so pronator teres right here, responsible for pronation. All right, so now I'm going to work my way around this. So keep this, you see the palm region? This would be the anterior side of the forearm, because we're always thinking anterior is an anatomical position. Anterior side of the forearm. These guys are going to be flexors. So the muscles that are on the anterior side of the forearm are responsible for flexing the wrist. All right, now, so there are three muscles, three flexors that you need to be able to know. If you work right next to the pronator teres, it's on the anterior side of the forearm. This guy is on the thumb side. So it's going to have flexor in the name, and it's on the thumb side, so most likely it's going to be a radialis. So this is the flexor carpi radialis. Okay, the flexor carpi radialis. It's on the thumb side. Now this muscle right here, smack dab in the middle, and you see it has a long tendon that extends out to the palm. This is the palmaris longus. Palmaris longus. And then moving out a little bit more laterally, right? Medially, because it's on the pinky side. So pinky side, think ulna bone. So this is the flexor carpi ulnaris. This is the flexor carpi ulnaris. All right, so I'll do that again. Here's the pronator teres. Pronator teres. Working our way around this muscle. This is the anterior side of the forearm. This is the thumb side. So these are going to be flexors. Flexor carpi radialis on the thumb side. Has a long tendon. This muscle is smack dab in the middle. Long tendon that extends to the palm. Palmaris longus. Then over here, it's still on the anterior side, but it's a little bit more medial towards the pinky. This is the flexor carpi ulnaris. Now I'll show you these muscles on, this is the right arm. I'll go over the extensors again on this side. This would be the brachioradialis. Then right here, because this is going to the thumb side, this would be, so again, if we're posterior side of the forearm, these are going to be the extensors. So this is the extensor carpi radialis, because it's the thumb side. The one that's down the middle, this is and it goes to the fingers, or the digits rather. So extensor digitorum. Then over here, this would be the extensor carpi ulnaris because it's on the pinky side. Extensor, carpi, ulnaris. And those are the muscles of the arm and forearm region that you need to know.